Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to go through the video solutions to the perimeter of a semicircle and perimeter of a quarter circle practice questions on Corbettmaths. If you need any extra help on either of those topics, if you go to corbettmaths.com/contents and scroll down to video number 62 and 62a, there's video tutorials there on how to find the perimeter of quarter circles and semicircles. But in this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. So question number 1. Here we've got a semicircle and it's got a diameter of 7 centimeters, and we've been asked to find the perimeter of the semicircle and to give your answer to 3 decimal places, and it's a calculator question. So first of all, let's find the perimeter of the whole circle, the circumference of the whole circle. So let's pretend it's a whole circle, and to get the circumference of a circle, we use circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So we're going to do pi multiplied by the diameter of the circle, which is 7. So if we do pi times 7, that'll be the circumference of the whole circle. So if we do pi times 7, that's 7 pi, or that's equal to 21.99114 and so on centimeters. That's the circumference of the whole circle. Now we just want to find the length of this arc, this bit here. So if we divide this by 2, we'll get this distance. So let's do 21.99114 and so on divided by 2, or 7 pi divided by 2. And the answer will be 7 over 2 pi, or 10.99557 and so on centimeters. So that's the distance from here around to here. So it's this distance here. Okay, so that's equal to 10.9955742.9 and so on centimeters. Now we want to find the perimeter of the semicircle. So we found the length of the arc. Now we need to add on the 7 because we want to find the whole distance around the outside of the semicircle. So we're going to do 10.99557 and so on plus our diameter, which is 7 centimeters, and that will be the whole distance around the outside of the semicircle, and that's equal to 17.99557 and so on. Now in this question we've been asked to give our answer to 3 decimal places, so let's round this to 3 decimal places. That'll be 17.99, and we've got 5 5s, so we're going to round up 6. That's 17.996 centimeters, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. So question number 2, we've got a semicircle, and this time we've got the radius of the semicircle, which is 25 centimeters, and we've been asked to find the perimeter of the semicircle. So we need to find the length of the arc, the length of the base, and then add them together, and that'll be the perimeter of the semicircle. So let's actually start off by finding the length of the arc. Well, we know the diameter of the whole circle, so if we pretend it's a whole circle, the diameter of the whole circle will be 25 plus 25 centimeters, the whole way across, which would be 50 centimeters. So to find the circumference of the whole circle, we're going to do circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So it's going to be pi times 50 because the whole diameter of the circle is 50 centimeters. And that's equal to 50 pi, or if we do pi times 50, that's equal to 157.079 and so on centimeters. So that's the circumference of the whole circle, 50 pi, or this, centimeters. Now we want to find just the length of this arc, and that's a semicircle, so that's half of the whole circumference, so we're going to divide by 2, so 157.079 and so on divided by 2 is equal to 25 pi, or 78.539 and so on centimeters. So that means the distance from here around to here, this distance here, would be equal to 78.539 and so on centimeters. So we've now found the length of the arc. We've got the length of the base, which is 50 centimeters, because we've got 25 and another 25, that's 50 centimeters. And if we add them together, we'll find the perimeter of the semicircle. So 78.539 and so on, plus, you could write plus 25, or you could just write plus 50, and that's equal to 128.5398 and so on centimeters. And in this question, we've been asked to give our answer to 1 decimal place, so it'll be 128.5 centimeters, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 3, and it's a non-calculator question, so I've just put my calculator down, and we've been given a semicircle, and we know the diameter of the semicircle is 4 centimeters, and we've been asked to work out the perimeter of the semicircle and to leave our answer in terms of pi. So we want to find the length of the arc because we know the length of the base of the semicircle, or the diameter, is 4 centimeters. So we need to find the length of the arc. So we're going to find the circumference of the whole circle to begin with. So circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So we're going to do pi times the diameter of the circle, which is 4. And 4 times pi is 4 pi. So that means the circumference of the whole circle is 4 pi. Now we want to find just the length of this arc, of the semicircle, so we're going to do 4 pi divided by 2. We're going to half it. And half of 4 pi would be 2 pi. So that means the distance from here around to here, this distance would be 2 pi. So that's 2 pi centimeters. So we know that this distance is 2 pi centimeters. We know that the length of the base, or the diameter, is 4 centimeters. So we would add those two together to find the perimeter of the semicircle. So the answer would be 2 pi plus 4 centimeters. Now we can't simplify this, so that's our answer, 2 pi plus 4 centimeters. Or you could write 4 plus 2 pi centimeters, write it the other way around if you wish, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 4. So question number 4, it says below is a semicircle. So we've got the semicircle, and we've been asked to find the perimeter of the semicircle and to leave our answer in terms of pi. So we want to find the perimeter of this semicircle. So let's start by looking at the base of the diameter of it. We've got 13 centimeters is the radius. So that means that this would be 13 centimeters as well. That means the whole diameter would have a length of 26 centimeters. And now we need to find the length of this arc. So circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So we're going to find the circumference of the whole circle. So we're going to do pi times, and the diameter of the whole circle would be 26 centimeters. So multiply by 26. That's a non-calculator question. So pi times 26, just putting them together, would be 26 pi centimeters. So that would be the circumference of the whole circle. But this is a semicircle, it's half of a circle, so we're going to half it to find the length of this arc. So we're going to do 26 pi divided by 2, and half of 26 is 13, so it'll be 13 pi. So that means the length of this arc, the distance from here around to here, is equal to, all the way around, will be 13 pi. Now we want to find the perimeter of the whole semicircle, so it'll be 13 pi plus 13 plus 13, or 13 pi plus 26, and that's it. So the answer would be 13 pi plus 26, and we can't simplify that because it's 13 lots of pi and then plus 26, so we'll just write it as that, 13 pi plus 26. We could write it the other way around and write 26 plus 13 pi, and that's the same answer. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, let's have a look at question number 5. And question number 5 is a calculator question. And we're told that below is a quarter circle with a radius of 6 centimeters. So we've got this quarter circle, it's a quarter of a whole circle. And we've been asked to find the perimeter of the quarter circle. So that's the length of all the sides. That's that length plus the length of the arc. So it's those 3 lengths all added together. And we've been asked to find the perimeter of the quarter circle and to give our answer to 1 decimal place. Now let's start off by looking at the radius here. We've got a radius of 6 centimeters. That means that this radius would also be 6 centimeters. So we've got this is 6 centimeters and this is 6 centimeters. That's 2 of the sides. Now we need to find the length of the arc so we can add the 3 together. So to find the length of this arc, it's a quarter of the circumference of the whole circle. If we had a whole circle that looks something like this whole circle, and please excuse my sketch, but actually that's not looking too bad. So we've got this circle, and this length from here to here would be a quarter of the whole circumference. So if we look at this circle, the diameter of the whole circle would be 12 centimeters the whole way across. So the circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So we're going to do pi times the diameter of the whole circle, which would be 12. So we're going to do pi times 12, and on our calculator we could do pi times 12, and that would be 12 pi, or we could do pi times 12, and that's equal to 37.69911 and so on centimeters. So that's the circumference of the whole circle. We want to find just the length of this arc, this quarter of the whole circumference. So we're going to do 37.699 and so on, divided by 4. That's on my calculator display, so I can just press divided by 4. Or remember, you could use 12 pi and just do divided by 4. And whenever you divide by 4, you're going to get that's equal to 3 pi. So that's equal to 3 pi, or 9.42477 and so on. So that means the distance from here around to here would be 9.42477 and so on centimeters. That's this distance here, the length of that arc. So if we want to find the perimeter of this quarter circle, we're going to do the length of that arc, which is 9.42477 and so on, plus 6 plus 6, so plus 6 plus 6, and that's equal to 21.42477 and so on centimeters. And let's give our answer to 1 decimal place. That'll be 21.4 centimeters, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 6, and this is a non-calculator question, and we've been given a quarter circle, and we're told the quarter circle is a quarter circle of a circle with a radius of 10 centimeters, and to find the perimeter of the quarter circle and to give our answer in terms of pi. So first of all, if this is 10 centimeters, this is 10 centimeters. So if one radius is 10 centimeters, the other radius would have to be 10 centimeters also. And we want to find the perimeter of the quarter circle, so we need to find the length of the arc. So let's imagine the whole circle. So we've got this whole circle. That sketch isn't as good as the one in question 5. And so we've got this whole circle, and we want to find the circumference of the circle. So circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So it's going to be pi times the diameter of the whole circle would be the distance across the middle, which would be equal to 20 centimeters. That's pi times 20. And remember, this is a non-calculator question, and pi times 20 would be then 20 pi. So that means the circumference of the whole circle is 20 pi. Now we want to find just the length of this arc, and this arc, remember, it's a quarter circle, so that's a quarter of the whole circumference, so we're going to do 20 pi divided by 4. And 20 divided by 4 is 5, so 20 pi divided by 4 would be 5 pi. So that means the length of this arc going from here around to here would be 5 pi, so that's 5 pi. So we now have, this is 10 centimeters, this is 10 centimeters, and this is 5 pi centimeters. So let's add those together, 10 plus 5 pi. And 10 plus 10 is 20, and we've got 5 lots of pi, so we've got 20 plus 5 pi. We can't simplify this because terms of pi's we can't add to just numbers, so the answer would be 20 plus 5 pi, or 5 pi plus 20 if we read it the other way around, and that's it. Okay, question number 7. So question number 7 says, Shahida designs a badge using a rectangle and a semicircle. So we've got this rectangle and we've got this semicircle, and we've been asked to find the perimeter of the badge. We want to find the perimeter, the distance around the outside of the badge. So if we were to start here, we've got 7 centimeters, 3 centimeters, another 7 centimeters, I'm going to write that down there, 7 centimeters, and then we've got this arc, which is the arc of this semicircle. So we need to find the length of this arc, okay? So we need to find the length of that arc to be able to add it onto our 7, and our 3, and our 7. So let's find the length of this arc. So let's consider this semicircle to begin with. It's got a diameter of 3 centimeters. So if we can find the circumference of the whole circle, so let's turn it into a whole circle, and if we do circumference is equal to pi times diameter, we can find the circumference of this circle. And then once we find the circumference of the circle, if we half it, we can find the length of that arc. So we're going to do pi times, and the diameter of the whole circle is 3, so pi times 3, and that'd be equal to 3 pi. That's equal to 9.4247779 and so on centimeters. That's the circumference of the whole circle. We're now going to divide that by 2. So we're going to take our 9.4247779 and so on, and we're going to divide that by 2. And that would tell us the length of this arc. So divided by 2 would be 1.5 pi, or 3 over 2 pi, or 4.7123898 and so on centimeters. So that means the distance from here around the arc to here would be equal to 4.7123898 and so on centimeters. We've been asked to find the perimeter of the badge. We now just need to add up the distances around the outside. So we're going to take that length of that arc, that 4.7123 and so on. We're going to add on 7. We're going to add 3. And then we're going to add 7. And we'll type that into our calculator and see what we get. So I've already got that answer on my calculator display. So I'm just going to press plus 7 plus 3 plus 7 is equal to 21.71238898 and so on centimeters. And we can round that answer if we want to. I'm going to round it to 2 decimal places. That'll be 21.71 centimeters. And that's it. Okay, question number 8. So question number 8 says a school running track has 2 straights. So we've got these 2 straights and 2 semicircular bends. So this bend here and this bend here. And each straight is 60 meters long, and each semicircular bend has got a radius of 14 meters. So this semicircular bend has got a radius of 14 meters. And we're told Maria runs 8 laps of the running track, and we've been asked to work out how far Maria has run in total. And it's a calculator question. So first of all, let's find the perimeter of this running track. Let's find out how far Maria runs in 1 lap of the running track. So if this is 60 meters, down here from here to here would also be 60 meters as well. So that's those 2 distances from here to here, and from here to here is 60 meters and 60 meters. So now we need to find the lengths of the bends. So let's start off with the length of this bend on this left hand side here. So as you can see, it's a semicircle, and so that's a semicircle there, and we could actually turn it into a whole circle. And if we wanted to find the length of this arc, we would find the circumference of the whole circle, and then we would half it to find the length of this arc here, the length of the bend. So if we consider this whole circle, it has got a diameter of 28 meters because it's 14 meters to the middle. So another 14 meters would bring you the whole way across. So that's 14 plus 14, which is 28 meters. And if we do pi times 28, we will get the circumference of the circle. So circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So it's going to be pi times 28, and that's equal to 28 pi or 87.964 and so on meters. So that means that the circumference of this whole circle will be 87.964 and so on meters, but we want just the length of this arc, which is half of the circumference, so we're going to divide by 2. So we're going to take our 87.964 and so on, and we're going to divide that by 2. And when we divide that by 2, we get an answer of 14 pi or 43.98229 and so on meters. So that means the distance from here to here would be 43.98229 and so on meters. And let's write that down, 43.98229 and so on meters. So that's the length of that bend. So let's have a look at the right hand side of the running track. Well, it's got a semicircle as well, and it's got a radius of 14 meters, the same as this one. So that means that the length of this arc would be the same as the length of this arc. So it would also be 43.98229 and so on meters. So we've now got the length of the straight, the length of the bend, the length of the straight, and the length of the bend. And if we add them all up, we'll find the distance around the running track. So let's do that. So let's work out that answer and see what we get. So 43.98229 and so on, plus 43.98229 and so on, plus 60, and see what we get. And that's equal to 207.964 and so on meters. So that means the distance around the outside of the running track would be 207.964 and so on meters. So that's the length of one lap. Maria runs, whenever we read the question, it says Maria runs 8 laps of the running track. So if we multiply this distance by 8, we'll find how far Maria has run in total. So let's do that. So let's take our 207.9645 and so on, and let's multiply that by 8 and see what we get. So multiply by 8, and the answer would be 1,663.7167 and so on meters. Now we could give our answer in kilometers and write it as 1.663 and so on. I'm actually just going to leave it in terms of meters here, so I'm going to give my answer as 1,663.717 meters to 3 decimal places, and that's it. So that's how far Maria has run. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, let's have a look at question number 9. So question number 9 says, Dexter designs a logo. He draws a semicircle with a diameter AC that has got a length of 8 centimeters. He then removes 2 semicircles with diameters AB and BC. And it says the remaining shape is his logo. So this remaining shape, this blue shape, is his logo. And we've been asked to find the perimeter of the logo. So we want to find the perimeter of this logo. And we're to give our answer in terms of pi. And as you can see, it's a non-calculator question. Now, in terms of this logo, this blue shape, it's got 3 parts that we need to find the length of to be able to add together to find its perimeter. We've got this arc, this big arc here of the semicircle AC. Then if we come around to here, then we've got this arc here. Okay, so this is the arc of the semicircle BC, and then we've got the length of this arc here. So we need to find the length of that arc, and that arc, and then when we add those 3 together, we'll find the perimeter of the logo. So let's start off by finding the length of this arc. So the length of AC is 8 centimeters. So if we consider the whole circle, so we consider this whole circle here, so let's turn it into a whole circle, and this is 8 centimeters. If we do pi times 8, that'll be the circumference of the whole circle, and if we divide it by 2, that'll be the length of this arc here. Okay, so let's do that. So the circumference is equal to pi times diameter, which is going to be equal to 8. So pi times 8, and pi times 8 would be 8 pi. So that would be the circumference of the whole circle. We would then going to half it to find the length of this arc. So 8 pi divided by 2 would be equal to 4 pi. So that means that the length of this arc from A to C is 4 pi. So that's 4 pi centimeters. That's the length of this arc. Now let's find the length of this arc. So as you can see, we've got this smaller semicircle and B's in the middle of A and C. So because AC is 8 centimeters, that means AB would be 4 centimeters and BC would be 4 centimeters. Okay, so let's find the length of this arc from A to B. So let's turn it into a whole circle. So let's turn it into a circle, and we're going to do pi times diameter. So pi times 4. So circumference equals pi times diameter. There's going to be pi times 4, so that would be 4 pi. That's the circumference of the whole circle. We're now going to take the 4 pi and divide it by 2, and that would be equal to 2 pi. So that means the length of this arc is 2 pi. So So the length of that arc is 2 pi centimeters. And because b is in the middle, this semicircle and this semicircle will be identical. That means that this arc would also have a length of 2 pi centimeters. And that's fantastic. We can now work out the perimeter of the logo. The length of AC, this arc, is 4 pi centimeters. The length of this arc is 2 pi centimeters, and the length of this arc is 2 pi centimeters. So if we add them all together, that will be the perimeter of the logo. So 4 pi plus 2 pi plus 2 pi will be equal to 8 pi. So that means the perimeter of this logo will be 8 pi centimeters. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. So question number 10 says, shown below is a quarter circle and a circle, and the perimeter of the quarter circle is the same as the circumference of the circle, and we've been asked to work out the radius of the circle. So let's start off by finding the perimeter of the quarter circle. So if this quarter circle, we know that the radius is 12 centimeters, so if that's 12 centimeters, that's also 12 centimeters. And we want to find the arc, the length of this arc. So the circumference of the whole circle, if it was a whole circle, we would do pi circumference equals pi times diameter. And if we had this whole circle, the diameter the whole way across it would be 24 centimeters. So we're going to do pi times 24, and that would be equal to 75.398223 and so on. So that would be the circumference of the whole circle, but we just want the length of this arc, so we would divide that by 4. So 75.398 and so on divided by 4 would be the length of this arc. So divide by 4 is equal to 6 pi, which is 18.8495 and so on centimeters. So that's the length of this arc. And if we add the 12 and the 12 down, that would give us the perimeter of the quarter circle, which is fantastic because then that's the circumference of the circle. So let's do that. Let's work out what that would be. So 12 plus 12, so 12 plus 12, and then plus our 18.8495 and so on. So that's on my calculator display already. So plus 12 is equal to 42.84955 and so on centimeters. So that is the perimeter of the quarter circle. And we're told that the circumference of the circle is equal to the perimeter of the quarter circle. So that means the circumference of this circle is 42.84955 and so on. So the circumference is equal to pi times diameter. So the circumference is 42.8495 and so on. That's equal to pi times diameter. So now let's divide both sides by pi to find the diameter. So we divide by pi and divide by pi, we'll find the diameter of the circle. So we're going to take our answer and divide it by pi, and that would give us 13.6394 and so on centimeters, and that's equal to the diameter of the circle. So the diameter of the circle the whole way across is 13.6394 and so on. But we want to find the radius of the circle, so we now need to divide this by 2, this diameter by 2. So 13.6394 and so on divided by 2. If we divide by 2, that's equal to 6.8197 and so on centimeters. And let's just round our answer to 2 decimal places. So that'll be 6.82 centimeters. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question. Okay, let's have a look at question number 11. So question number 11 says, below is a semicircle. So we've got the semicircle, and the perimeter of the semicircle is 1 meter. And we've been asked to find the diameter of the semicircle. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to find the length of this arc. And let's do that. So to find the length of the arc, we would consider the whole circle. So the circumference of the whole circle would be pi times diameter, and that'll be pi times x. So for the whole circle, the circumference equals pi times diameter. So that's pi times x, so pi x. And we want to find the length of this arc. Now, I then will divide this by 2 to find the length of this arc, because it's a semicircle. So we're going to do pi x divided by 2. And when we do that, we'd get pi over 2x, or a half pi x. I'm going to change it to a decimal number just because I find that a bit easier whenever I'm dealing with this question. So I'm going to do pi divided by 2. So that's going to be 1.57 and so on, and then x. So just dividing this by 2, that's 3.14159 and so on times x. We're dividing it by 2, so it'll be 1.57 and so on times by x. So that means the length of this arc is 1.5707 and so on x. So that's the length of this arc going from here around to here. Okay, so we've got the length of the arc, we've got the length of the diameter, which is x, or 1x, and we're told the perimeter of the semicircle is 1 meter. So if we add these together, so if we find the perimeter of the semicircle in terms of x, if we do our 1.57 and so on x, and we add on x, which is 1x, that will give us the perimeter of the whole shape in terms of x. So whenever we add on 1x, that would be equal to 2.57 and so on x. So that means the perimeter of this semicircle is 2.57 and so on x. So that's the perimeter of the semicircle in terms of x, but we know that's equal to 1 meter. Now I'm going to change the 1 meter into 100 centimeters, and I'm going to say that 2.57 and so on x is equal to 100 centimeters. Now I want to find out what x is, which is the diameter. So we're now going to divide both sides by 2.5707 and so on. So we'll divide by 2.57 and so on, divide by 2.57 and so on. On the left hand side we had our 2.57 and so on multiplied by x. We're dividing by that, so I'll just leave us with x. On the right hand side we have 100 and we're dividing it by 2.57079 and so on. So I'm going to take 100 and I'm going to press divided by answer, and that's equal to 38.898 and so on centimeters, and that's it. So the diameter of this semicircle would be 38.898 and so on centimeters. And you can check your answer. If you were to sketch a semicircle with that diameter, you could then do pi times diameter to get the circumference of the whole circle and half it, and then that would be the length of the arc. And if you added that together with the length of the diameter, you would then get your 100 centimeters or your 1 meter, and that's it. Okay, let's have a look at question number 12. So question number 12 is our last question, and we're told that OAD, so OAD and OBC are quarter circles with center O. So this is the center, and you've got this quarter circle and then this quarter circle, and they share that same point, that point O, that center. And then we're told that the point A is on the line OB such that the ratio of O to A to B is 5 to 2. So in other words, if this is 5 centimeters, this would be 2 centimeters. That's the ratio. This could be 10 centimeters, this could be 4 centimeters, and so on. So we've got the ratio of the lengths of this length to that length. And we're told that OC, the length here from O to C, is 1.4 meters. So from here up to here is 1.4 meters. So that is 1.4 meters going the whole way from there to there. Now what's great here is because O is the centre, from O to C is 1.4 metres, that means from O to B would be the same. So we've got the whole distance from O to B, which would be 1.4 metres as well. So from there across to there would also be 1.4 metres. And actually if we share that in the ratio, 5 to 2, we can find out the length of O to A and A to B. So if we share 1.4 metres in the ratio of 5 to 2, we can find the length of that bit and the length of that bit. So let's do that actually. So to share this in the ratio, we're going to add the numbers in the ratio together. So 5 parts plus 2 parts is 7 parts. Then we'll take our 1.4 meters, the length of the whole radius from O to B, and we'll divide that by 7, and that's equal to 0.2. And now we'll times it by the 5 and we'll times it by the 2, and that will give us the length from O to A and from A to B. So we'll do 0.2 multiplied by 5, which is 1. We'll do 0.2 multiplied by 2, we're timesing that number by both 5 and 2 by 2, and that's equal to 0.4. So that means from O to A is 1 meter, and from A to B is 0.4 meters. And that's great. So we now know the distance from O to A, which is 1 meter, and from A to B, which is 0.4 meters. And actually, if we had that ratio of 1 to 0.4, if we were to multiply both of those numbers by 5, we would get 5 to 2. And that's the ratio we were told in the question. So that's fantastic. Okay, so we've got the distances from O to A and from A to B, just dividing 0.4 in the ratio of 5 to 2. And that's given us the two lengths from here to here. And we've been asked to find the perimeter of the shape A, B, C, D, so the perimeter of this pink shape. So actually, if from A to B is 0.4, that means from C to D is 0.4 as well, meters. So we now just need to find the length of this arc, the length of this arc, and add them together with 0.4 and 0.4, and it will tell us the perimeter of that shape. So let's do that. So let's start off with this arc AD. So arc AD, so let's find the length of that to begin with. So we have got this quarter circle, OAD, and it's got a radius of 1 meter, so from O to A is 1 meter. So if we find the circumference of the whole circle, so if we had this whole circle here going around, if we do pi times diameter, so pi times 2, and then that will give us the whole circumference of the whole circle. And then if you divide it by 4, it'll be the length of the arc AD. So let's do that. So let's do pi times 2, pi times diameter, so circumference equals pi times diameter. So it's going to be pi times 2, that's going to be 2 pi. So that's equal to 2 pi. And then we want to divide that by 4 because it's a quarter circle and we want to just find that's a whole circle, 2 pi. And we're going to divide that by 4 to get the length of that arc. So we'll do 2 pi divided by 4, and that would be equal to 0.5 pi. And you could work as a decimal if you want to, but I'm just going to leave it in terms of pi. So in terms of the arc AD, that's got a length of 0.5 pi, or half pi. So we now just need to find the length of this arc BC, and then we can add them all together to find the perimeter of that shape. So in terms of this arc BC, well, we've got this quarter circle, and if we do pi times diameter, we can get the circumference of the whole circle. So let's do that. So arc BC, so we've got this arc BC, let's find the length of it. So we've got the whole circle, and if we have the center of the circle to O, the radius of it would be 1.4 meters. So if we want to find the circumference of the whole circle, we're going to do pi times double 1.4 to be 2.8. So we're going to do pi times 2.8, and that'll give us the circumference of the whole circle. So circumference equals pi times 2.8, and that would be 2.8 pi. So that's the circumference of the whole circle. Now we're going to divide it by 4 to find just the length of that arc. So 2.8 pi divided by 4. And 2.8 divided by 4 is 0.7. So that'll be 0.7 pi. So that means the length from B to C is 0.7 pi. And this is fantastic. We have the lengths of A to B, from B to C, from C to D, and from D round to A. So let's just add them all together to get the perimeter of that shape. So let's do that. So we've got our 0.7 pi plus 0.4 plus 0.4 plus 0.5 pi. And when we do that, and it's a calculator question, whenever we work that out, we get an answer of 4.5699 and so on meters. Now let's round this to 2 decimal places, so that'll be 4.57 meters. So that means the perimeter of this shape would be 4.57 meters, and that's it. And that's it. So these have been the video solutions to the perimeter of a semicircle and perimeter of a quarter circle practice questions. I really hope you found this video useful. If you need any extra help on either of those two topics, videos 62 and 62A in Corbettmaths will be really useful. Alternatively, you can scan this QR code and go straight to those videos. I really hope you found this video useful. If you have found it useful, please like it and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.